Hello everyone and welcome to College Football Chronicles, where I am reviewing the best coach for every single FBS team in the nation, including the two teams moving up for the 2025 season. I decided to do this in alphabetical order instead of by conference due to the constant changes, or by region due to it being so uneven. Now, here are the guidelines I will be using for this list. Most schools should be pretty clear and based on numbers and facts. Some will need other deciding tiebreakers, so to be clear, this will be the best coach in school history for the program itself and limited only to that program, not the best coach to ever run through there. For example, Nick Saban will not be the choice for the Toledo Rockets, despite his one solid 9-2 season at the helm. This list is also not limited to the FBS time period itself, and schools can and will have coaches who coached before the team was in the FBS or before college and university divisions were even a thing. The decision factor takes into account overall record, winning percentage, coaching awards, and championships. If there's still some debate after those things were accounted for, we will look at the ones that was most impactful or most cherished by the school and its fans. How many pro players did they develop? Are there streets and buildings named after him? Is there a statue of him? If somehow we still don't have a clear-cut name after all of that, I will just have to make a final decision based on my own opinion, which I hate to do, but if it comes to that point, I will make the fairest call I think I can, or at least explain myself and my choice. If at any point you feel I got it wrong, or missed something glaringly obvious, feel free to absolutely destroy me in the comments, and I will try to be better next time, because all I really want in life is to be a better person to my YouTube audience. With all that said, let's get into this one. Bowling Green. Urban Meyer got his first head coaching job here, and while he went a solid 17-6, he won no championships nor did his teams make a bowl game. And let's be honest, this was just a stepping stone to better things for him. Nothing wrong with that. Gary Blackney was also good in his time with the Falcons, but only really in his first two seasons. After winning the conference in 1991 and 1992 and going a combined 22-3 in those two seasons, he finished his stint with 6 losing seasons. The coach I decided on was all-time wins and winning percentage leader Doit Perry. Perry actually played for Bowling Green from 1929 to 1931. Doit went into coaching in 1943 as a high school coach in Arlington, Ohio from 1943 to 1950. He would move on to the college ranks coaching the Ohio State backfield from 1951 until 1954 until Bowling Green called him home to become their head coach in 1955. After going 7-1-1 in his first season, Perry led the team to an 8-0-1 record in 1956 to claim the school's first MAC championship and first conference championship since 1929. In 1959, he reached the pinnacle of his head coaching career as he led the team to a perfect 9-0 record, beating the likes of Marshall 51-7, number 15 Kent State, and number 1 Delaware, and number 9 Ohio. Keep in mind, these were small school college rankings as we did not yet have divisions. At the end of the season, they were named UPI Small School National Champions, along with his second MAC title. His squads won 3 more MAC championships, and his teams never lost more than 2 games in his entire tenure. Perry stepped down after the 1964 season and assumed the role of athletic director from 1965 to 1970. During his time at Bowling Green, he went 77-11-5, winning over 85% of his games, which was, at the time, the 3rd best winning percentage ever. After stepping down as AD in 1971, he took the same job at Florida International for 2 years and then retired. Today, Bowling Green plays its games at Doit Perry Stadium. Perry went into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1988, and Coach Perry passed away in 1992 at the age of 82. Buffalo. This was a tough one, and not for good reasons. Buffalo has only won about 43% of its games all time and only won 1 conference championship. The first 4 head coaches did combine for a 33-4-2 record, but some of these records seems to have inconsistencies. Turner Gill, the one coach who brought the MAC title to Buffalo in 2008, only went 8-6 that season and was 20-30 in his 4 seasons. Lance Leopold was somewhat successful also, winning the MAC East Division twice, but was also underwhelming at 37-33. My pick here by a slim margin was Dick Offenhammer. Richard played football and baseball for Colgate from 1933 to 1936. Side note, he was also an intramural light heavyweight boxing champion all 4 years of school. After graduation, he became head coach of a high school in Buffalo from 1936 to 1945. From there, he went on to coach the freshmen at his alma mater Colgate for 9 seasons before taking the head job at Buffalo in 1955. While he didn't win any formal championships, the Bulls were not in a conference and bowls were abundant. However, in 1958, He led the Bulls to an 8-1 record with wins over Harvard and Columbia, and his team won the Lambert Cup, which is the annual award given to the best small college team, now Division II, in the East. At the end of the season, Buffalo was invited to play in the Tangerine Bowl versus Florida State, but actually turned them down due to the bowl not allowing the team's 2 black players to compete. Buffalo would not have a chance at another bowl for 50 years. While not overly exciting, he did win the second most of any Buffalo coach with a 58-37-5 record. The only coach ahead of him, Bill Dando, coached 3 more seasons and had a losing overall record. In 1984, he was inducted into the University of Buffalo Hall of Fame and into the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame in 1985. Offenhammer died in 1998 at the age of 85. BYU. Shout out to Bronco Mendenhall, but there's no reason to pretend this is anyone other than Lavelle Edwards. An Orem, Utah native, Edwards played on the offensive line for Utah State from 1949 to 1951. In 1954, he became the head coach for a local Utah high school until 1961. In 1960, if I went into every conference championship, this entry would last forever, so I'll summarize. He won his first Western Athletic Conference title in 1974 with only a 7-4-1 record. In 1976, he started a run of 10 straight WAC championships, during which he achieved something seemingly impossible to this day, and that lives famously in the college football history books. The 1984 BYU team began the season with a shocking 20-14 win at number 3 Pitt. From there, a perfect storm brewed, with top-ranking teams falling out of their way as the Cougars won the rest of their games to finish 13-0 with a win over Michigan in the Holiday Bowl. They were named consensus national champions as the only undefeated team, and to this day, they remain the only team to ever win a national title outside of a power conference. There are plenty of videos on YouTube and documentaries on this team. If you want to learn more about that, it isn't too hard to find. The conference title winning streak ended in 1986, but picked right back up as Lavelle led his teams to WAC championships from 1989 through 1993, 1995, and 1996, and a final one in 1999 as new members of the Mountain West. That is an astonishing 19 conference championships for those keeping count. Edwards stepped down after the 2000 season with a record of 257, 101, and 3, which is the most wins in school history by over 100 games, and held a 71% winning percentage. In his career, he coached notable quarterbacks Steve Young, Jim McMahon, and Ty Detmer, just to name a few. Edwards was awarded the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year in 1979, the AFCA and Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year in 1984, and the Amos Alonzo Stagg Award in 2003, which is essentially a Lifetime Achievement Award for college football. At the time of his retirement, he ranked 6th in all-time victories and 2nd all-time at a single school, behind Joe Paterno. Today, the Cougars play their home games in Lavelle Edwards Stadium, an honor he received shortly before his final game. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2004. Coach Edwards died in 2016 at the age of 86. California. Some of you may not be aware of this, but Cal has a storied history with a lot of success. Why might some of you not be aware of this? Well, the reason is pretty simple, in that most of that success came a very long time ago. Cal's last championship of any kind was a shared Pac-10 title in 2006, and their last outright conference title came in 1958. But when I say the history of the program was once glorious, I'm talking about even earlier than that. The Bears claim 5 national championships, and 4 of them were won before the AP poll even existed, and the most recent one came 88 years ago at the time of this recording. While Jeff Tedford holds the all-time wins record with 82 and brought the team that most recent conference title in 2006, the pick here was easy, as I went with the leader of all that early success, Andy Smith. Smith was a fullback at Penn State and then at Penn from 1901 to 1904. In the 1904 season, he was named first-team All-American and helped guide the Quakers to a national title. In 1905, Smith joined the coaching staff at Penn as an assistant. By 1909, he assumed the role of head coach at his alma mater. Following a solid run, he seemingly took a puzzling step down, in my opinion, to coach at Purdue, where he had considerably less success from 1913 to 1915. In 1916, he went west and took over at California, whose program was 1 year removed from a 10-year hiatus from 1905 to 1915. While the team was average in his first few seasons, he began his run of dominance in 1920. That team went 9-0, outscoring opponents 510-14, and shut out 7 of 9 teams on the schedule. Some of these scores were wild, too. They beat St. Mary's 127-0, Nevada 79-7, Utah 63-0, and won the 7th ever Rose Bowl 28-0 over Ohio State to claim the national title. They also won the Pacific Coast Conference, the precursor to the Pac-8, Pac-10, 12, 2, and so on. Now, before we move on, keep in mind that in these days there were often numerous national champions voted by various polls, and some were even awarded retroactively, many decades later. That sort of thing would actually be a problem for a long time, but as I said in a previous video, we'll cover that down the line in a separate video sometime. Anyways, back to it. The 1921 team again went undefeated, but were tied in the Rose Bowl 0-0 by Washington and Jefferson to finish 9-0-1. The blowouts weren't as severe as the previous team, though they did shut out 5 opponents and destroyed Washington 72-3 along the way. They again claimed a PCC title and a national title, though 4 others also claim it that year, including their Rose Bowl opponent Washington and Jefferson. In 1922, the team returned to perfection with a 9-0 record, again claiming the PCC and national titles. They outscored the opposition 398-34 and shut out 6 teams, though they did not return to the Rose Bowl for reasons unknown to me. In 1923, the undefeated streak continued, but the Bears did pick up a pesky tie to finish 9-0-1. Despite 9 shutouts, including the tie with Nevada, most games were close with single-digit wins over the California Alumni, Washington State, USC, Washington, and Stanford. The team won the PCC again and claims another national title, though this one is not as widely accepted outside the Cal program. In 1924, the undefeated streak rolled on, but the team suffered 2 ties against Washington and Stanford. They would also claim a share of the PCC once again, but were left out of national consideration after 4 years of dominance. The undefeated streak finally came to an end at 46 games in 1925, as did the dynasty itself. In their 3rd game that season, they lost to the Olympic Club of San Francisco, kind of like a YMCA, and then later Washington and Stanford to finish 6-3. This would be the end of Andy Smith's reign in more ways than one. He finished his Cal career with a 74-16-7 record, good for nearly an 80% winning record, which is best in school history, with 6 PCC and 4 national titles. His story took a tragic turn after his final season, as he was hospitalized with pneumonia back in Philadelphia and died a few weeks later in January of 1926 at the age of only 42. Just like I'll say about another guy on this list in the future video entry, you have to believe that given a few more seasons, he would have added a bit more to his legacy, with at the very least a few more conference titles. Andy Smith was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1951. In 1927, the Andy Smith bench on the sideline was dedicated in his honor. Built 102 years ago in 1923, the stadium is still known as the house that Andy built. Central Michigan. I'm sorry you have to follow Cal here, Chippewas, but here we go. Herb Deromedi should first receive some love for winning the most of any coach at the school, with 110 wins and 3 conference titles from 1978 to 1993, and has a solid argument for the best. Kenneth Kelly also had great success, winning 7 conference titles in the Interstate Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. Both of those are great choices, and you can let me know in the comments if I should have gone with one of those over this man. Roy Kramer brought Central Michigan to its highest national moment, even if it was in a lower division. He is also probably better known for a role he held years later, but more on that in a moment. Kramer is the first coach I've covered on this series who does not have a playing career to speak of. He began coaching as a high school assistant in Battle Creek, Michigan in 1955 before becoming a head high school coach, bouncing around the state until 1967 when he was hired as the head coach of Central Michigan. In his first 2 seasons, the Chippewas went a combined 15-4 and won the IIAC both seasons. He would then win 7 games in 1969, 1970, and 1973 before finally reaching a mountaintop in 1974. After starting the season with a 21-14 loss to Kent State, Central Michigan ran the tables, winning 9 straight to finish out the regular season 9-1. In the second ever Division II playoffs, the team defeated Boise State in the quarterfinals and defending national champions Louisiana Tech in the semifinals. In the national title game, Central Michigan destroyed Delaware 54-14 to win the crown. They were also voted AP Small School National Champion, though I think I'd brag about the playoff championship more so, just me. This would also be the last year polls voted on a small school national champion, and Central Michigan moved up to Division I the following season. Kramer coached the team for 3 more seasons, going 10-1 in his final one in 1977, but were snubbed of the MAC championship despite playing 3 more conference games than the champion Ohio. Kramer ended his collegiate head coaching career with an 83-32-2 record, 3 conference and 1 national title, all at Central Michigan. After 1977 season, he became the athletic director at Vanderbilt from 1978 to 1990. Following this run, he became the 6th commissioner of the Southeastern Conference from 1990 to 2002. During that span, he added Arkansas and South Carolina to the SEC and saw its institutions win 81 national championships across all sports. Today, the men and women's SEC Athlete of the Year is presented as the Roy Kramer Award. As of this recording, Roy Kramer is still living at the ripe age of 95. Charlotte. Despite the program officially beginning in 1946, the Owls, as they were first known, folded in 1948 due to the effects of World War II, going 3-12 overall. The program was brought back in 2013, so this entry is not going to blow anyone away as a huge success story. But bear with me please, you've already made it this far. The modern version of 49ers football has only seen 3 non-interim head coaches, and none of them had a winning record. In fact, of those 3, only 1 had a winning season, and as of this recording, is still the only winning season in program history. Obviously, this coach is the pick, and he is Will Healy. Personal note real quick, Healy played high school ball as a quarterback in Chattanooga, Tennessee, a mere 13.2 miles from where I was playing high school ball just over the state line in North Georgia around the exact same time. I actually remember seeing some of his highlights on the local news and had a couple of friends who played with him, including his backup, and his high school coach at the time went on to take over at my high school shortly after I graduated. After 1 season with Air Force, he transferred to Richmond, where he was a part of the 2008 FCS National Championship team. He then went into coaching as a wide receivers coach at his hometown Chattanooga from 2009 to 2015. He got his first head coaching job at Austin Peay in 2016, where he stayed until 2018. In 2019, he took over for Charlotte. In his very first season, he led the team to a 7-6 record and the school's first bowl appearance in a losing effort against Buffalo in the Bahamas Bowl 31-9. Unfortunately, that 2019 season would be the peak of his time at Charlotte, as he went 8-18 over the next 3 seasons, ultimately being fired near the end of the 2022 season, after a 1-7 start. From there, he took on an assistant role at UCF in 2023, an assistant role at Georgia State in 2024, and is now set to return to his head coaching ways at East Tennessee State for the upcoming 2025 season. He does already have a couple of coaching accolades from his stint at Austin Peay, winning the 2017 Eddie Robinson Award and the Ohio Valley Conference Coach of the Year Award. At the age of 40, he should still have plenty of time to add more to his career. That's going to be all for this one. Again, I am or have already done these for every single FBS team, so please go check out the other ones. This has been Chris of College Football Chronicles, and I hope you join me for another video down the line.